What if there was a podcast that did it all? Sports, politics, world events. Well, that's what we've got. You're listening to C&C Talks.
Hello, I'm Colin.
And I'm Charlie.
Welcome to episode 28 of the C&C Talks podcast, and Charlie, our final episode of 2022.
Yeah, it's crazy that we're already at the end of the year. But just a reminder, as we do every week, we release every Tuesday, but it's a Wednesday this week due to complications yesterday. We talk about politics, world events, and sports. It's currently Tuesday, December 20th, 2022, at about 6 p.m. for Colin and about 9 p.m. for me, as I'm currently on the East Coast.
Yep, and coming up on this episode, very short politics section. We're going to get to the World Cup, the NFL, college bowl games, as well as a full year in review and a small look forward to 2023. Let's get into it, Charlie.
Yeah, so starting off our politics section, Tesla's stock has plummeted. This is a result of Elon Musk's disaster, his Twitter policy so far. A lot of people are very upset about him, and Tesla's stock has fallen as a result of that.
It has fallen, I believe, about 64% in 2022. The market as a whole has crashed in 2022 somewhat. It's down like about, but Tesla's down about twice as much as everyone else. So yeah, make of it what you will.
President Zelensky of Ukraine came to Washington, D.C. Will give a speech to Congress, first time leaving Ukraine since the war began, so that's a very important step for Ukraine there. And Biden has signed the Respect for Marriage Act. Can we get some more, a little bit more on what that is, Colin?
Yeah, so it's basically a bill that gives some federal protections for gay and interracial marriages. Now, of course, those at the moment are legal, but there's a lot of fear that the Supreme Court, following some of their recent decisions, could at some point in the near future overturn a gay marriage and or interracial marriage. So this is a protection against that. Now that there's some form of federal legislation in place to protect that.
And so let's move on now to our sports section. The World Cup ended this weekend in the semifinals. Argentina beat Croatia 3-0, and France beat Morocco. In the third place game, Croatia beat Morocco, putting Morocco in fourth and Croatia in third. And in the finals, Argentina beat France on penalties after regular time ended 3-3. Thoughts on this, Colin?
Okay, so the finals, I have a lot of thoughts. The finals, it's the greatest World Cup game of all time.
And
right?
Why is that?
Well, a team did not win because of a mistake. I mean, ultimately, I think that penalty kicks was a sad way for it to end, but a team did not win because of a mistake. Argentina won because, and the game was such a good game because the stars came to play. And I mean, yeah, Argentina dominated for the first 70 minutes of the game. It looked like there was no chance for France to get back into it. Messi had a penalty kick goal at that point, but and Mbappe for France scored a penalty kick goal, and then just an absolutely insane goal just 2 minutes later to tie that game up at 2-2. And by the way, Charlie, remember Messi and Mbappe? They're teammates on PSG.
That is true. They are.
They're teammates on PSG. And so then it went to extra time, tied at 2-2. Messi had another phenomenal goal, and then Mbappe gets a penalty kick and nets it to send it to a shootout, which, again, a sad way for it to end. But also Messi, just a great ending to his career. I mean, his career is not over, but it's his final World Cup. And Mbappe now 12 goals through 2 World Cups. That's 6th place all time in the World Cup goals scored. He's tied with Pele.
And that is
He still has 2, maybe 3 World Cups in him. The record for most goals is 16. He could easily get there.
Yeah, most definitely. And I think that the finals was one of the best World Cup performances we've ever seen. That was absolutely incredible from him.
And Messi too, right? 2 just extraordinary performances from 2 just legends, superstars.
Yeah. Now, what do you think of Week 15 of the NFL? That was we had some very exciting upsets. We had a disaster with New England and Las Vegas.
Yeah, let's get into that. We'll start at beginning of the week. We'll start with the 49ers and the Seahawks. 49ers beat the Seahawks. They've clinched the division now. Charlie, what do you think of Brock Purdy?
I think a lot of people are giving him a lot of credit. I think he does deserve some of that credit, but we also can't forget that their defense is nearly unstoppable, and they have a lot of weapons on offense. I think he is doing a great job, but I do think he has a lot of support around him that's really giving him a lot of help.
Yeah, but so I would agree with that, but also it begs the question though: should he be their new starter once Lance and Garoppolo are back? What should they do going forward? Does Brock Purdy at the very least deserve a chance to fight for that starting job next preseason?
I think definitely an argument could be made for a three-way quarterback battle going into next year, but I think if Lance definitely is healthy, he will be definitely the starter. I think there could be a debate for second string between Garoppolo and Purdy, though.
If Garoppolo's even there.
If Garoppolo is even there, yeah.
Yeah. The Colts and the Vikings. Wow, is all I'm gonna say about that. What happened, Charlie? Besides the fact that it was extraordinary to watch.
Yeah, that was what a game that was. That was I didn't really believe it. I thought the game was over at halftime. The Colts defense just collapsed on itself. The Vikings figured out what they were doing. It was really a tale of two halves there. There's really not very many words I can use to explain what happened.
Yeah, just a disaster for the Colts. What a great comeback for the Vikings, though. The Browns beat the Ravens. The Ravens even still a playoff team? I mean, they're out of the lead for the division. Lamar probably not coming back before the end of the regular season. We'll see.
Yeah, that's a question to be made. I think there's a couple teams that are really starting to surge. The Chargers are coming up. Jacksonville's coming out of nowhere. I know that it's very unlikely, but they could still do it. The
Browns are climbing.
The Jets are falling. The Ravens are falling. I think it's going to be close to the end of the season, but I do think the Ravens are going to sneak in there.
Yeah. Bills Dolphins. The Bills won that one in a ridiculous game where snowballs were being thrown at players. Thoughts on that one, Charlie?
Yeah, that was a great game. But Buffalo won with a field goal with no time left. That was a really great game. I think both teams played really well.
Yeah, and they're both, I think, pretty clearly playoff teams right now.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
As things stand.
And that game was really huge for Buffalo because if they had lost, they would have gotten swept by Miami, and that would have been actually really important for the division battle, depending on how the rest of the regular season goes.
Yep. The Eagles beat the Bears. Really quickly, Charlie. Is Jalen Hurts the MVP of this season right now, as things stand today?
I would say he is. He is slightly above Patrick Mahomes right now.
Yeah, I mean Mahomes also, he's insane. And
yeah, but if we talk really quick, talking about the Bears, Justin Fields has been incredible this year.
He has, even though the Bears have just 3 wins.
The Bears have been bad, but he's been really good. I think he's going to definitely be the person they're going to build around with during their rebuild, which they clearly need to do.
So, the Saints beat the Falcons. I don't think that there's a whole ton to talk about in that one because that's truly a battle of 2 pretty bad teams.
I would say that there is, considering how bad that division is. If you win the last 3 games of the season, all 3 of those teams have a shot at winning that division. All 4 of the teams.
Yeah. But the Lions also, they beat the Jets. 2 questions here, really. First, can the Lions make the playoffs?
Oh, yeah, most definitely.
And B, what's going on with the Jets?
They're not making the playoffs.
Yeah. Well, that's a fair assessment, I think. Steelers beat the Panthers. Again, like you said, the Panthers, they're right there. They're 5-9, same record as the Falcons and the Saints. Buccaneers slightly better there, but they're only 6-8, just a game ahead of the field. The Jaguars beat the Cowboys. Is the Cowboys collapse coming?
Yes, it is. But also, what a game from Jacksonville. They had 2 huge interceptions late in that game. They had to punt to start overtime. Their defense rallied, got a pick 6 at the end of the game. They might do it. They could, Trevor. And even if they don't do it this year, they really have something to build on. They got some good weapons. They got some
do.
good. They got some good wide receiver weapons. ETNs looked pretty good, and they really have a star quarterback in the making that's being built on.
They do. I still think that they're just like a little bit away. They're
Just
not
build-
quite there, but
just
they're
help-
close.
If they build out their defense a little bit more, maybe work on their O-line a little bit, I think they're going to be really good.
Chiefs, they managed to hold on against the Texans just barely in overtime, but the Broncos finally got a win against the Cardinals. Russell Wilson did not start in this game, Charlie. He was injured. Is it time to let your backup quarterback become your starting quarterback? I can't believe that we're asking that, but I feel like it's a legitimate question that can be asked.
Yeah, it might be time to. And something else that I wanted to point out, he's 24 points, which is the amount they scored against the Cardinals. He's their season high.
No, I believe that they scored more against the Chiefs.
Did they?
Yeah, they scored 28, I believe.
Oh, I'm sorry that I had the wrong information then.
But still, second most points.
Here, I want to check that. Let's keep going. I just want to check that real quick.
Yeah, all right. The Raiders beat the Patriots, as you mentioned, Charlie, just a stupid ending. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, that was an absolute disaster for them. They had there was no time left, tied at 24. It was run up the middle. There was their running back kind of got stuck, lateraled it back to one of their wide receivers who attempted to chuck it back to Mac Jones. The ball was intercepted. Jones was brought down to the ground, and the Raiders returned it all the way for a score.
Yeah.
By the way, you are correct. They did score 28 against the Chiefs.
Yeah, which is so funny to me. But the Chargers, they beat the Titans. Got one team on their way up, another team on their way down.
Yeah, the Chargers have looked actually quite good. Yeah, most of the season, but yeah, I think they are going to make the playoffs, but I think it will be close with a couple other teams like the Ravens and the Jets and maybe the Jaguars.
Yeah, no, it's busy down there. 3 weeks is gonna tell a lot. The Bengals beat the Buccaneers. And the Bengals one of the top teams in the AFC again, Charlie.
Yes, I think they are. I think I know how tough that conference is, but they have a chance.
Yep. Thinking of other teams that might have a chance, do the Packers have a chance?
No, they do not.
Okay. That's kind of what I expected your answer to be on that one. And of course, the Giants beat the Commanders. Both of these teams, I think, Charlie, they have some future to them, but I think again, they may be still not quite there. Is that kind of what you're thinking?
Yeah, I agree with that. Those two teams are really getting close, but I don't think they quite have it yet.
Yeah. The NFC East is going to be so stacked in the next few years.
That is true. Those teams are look really good. I don't know how long the Eagles are going to be able to keep it together. The Commanders are improving. Giants are being dragged into the playoffs by their coach.
Yep.
And yeah, the Cowboys, if they don't implode again, are gonna maybe make it in.
Yep. All right. This is another good week of college football bowl games. The Celebration Bowl, actually the first week of college football bowl games. The Celebration Bowl, NC Central beat Jackson State after Coach Prime's exit to go to Colorado. The Bahamas Bowl, UAB beat Miami, Ohio. Troy beat UTSA in the Cure Bowl. Louisville beat Cincinnati in the Fenway Bowl. Oregon State beat Florida in the Las Vegas Bowl. Fresno State beat Washington State in the LA Bowl.
And that was a blowout.
Yes, it was. Southern Mississippi beat Rice in the Lending Tree Bowl. BYU beat SMU in the New Mexico Bowl. And Boise State beat North Texas in the Frisco Bowl. And Marshall beat UConn in the Myrtle Beach Bowl. I believe, Charlie, by our next episode, we will have the results of all of the bowl games, with the exception of the national championship.
Yes, yes, we will.
Yeah. Speaking of our next episode, we will be back on Wednesday, January 4th, 2022. We're not going to tape on the 2nd, as that is a holiday, but we will. First episode will be the January 4th, and then we're back on Tuesdays, 8 a.m. Pacific time. Charlie, what's going to be new on this podcast next year?
So we're going to have some new theme music and some new graphics for some of our titles and things like that. We also have bloopers coming out. in a few days here on the 30th at 12 p.m. Pacific time, and they will also only be coming out every 3 months starting next year.
We will also have a highlight reel coming out on Tuesday, December 27th at 12 p.m. Pacific time. It's going to be a reel of all of the top moments of this podcast this year in our first year.
Just a reminder, you're listening to the C&C Talks podcast. Thank you for listening.
So, Charlie, let's talk about the year in review, because it was another busy year. There was a lot of ups, a lot of downs. Let's talk about
yes. So we'll start our new segment with the probably the biggest geopolitical event, and that was the Russian invasion of Ukraine. Russia attempted to invade Ukraine to essentially take over the country that has gone disastrously for them. And now that front is very much stuck with both sides attacking each other with missiles at this point.
Yeah, but I mean, Ukraine's response has been inspirational, honestly.
Yeah, it really has. They've held in very well, and they've really showed the world what they can do.
And the will to fight also, it just impresses me a lot. Supreme Court this year overturned Roe v. Wade in what was one of the most solemn moments of the year. Just a huge impact. Elon Musk bought Twitter, and it's still destroying it. The January 6th hearing is another one of the biggest events in U.S. politics. We're really starting to see what's happening and uncover the truth about who was responsible for that day. And Trump is under numerous investigations, including for January 6th. He's still not charged. Charlie, do you think he'll be charged next year?
It is very possible that he either will or will not, depending on how the juries sway.
Yeah. And then, of course, the midterm elections were a big event here in the United States. Just did not go the way that they were expected to go, and will have truly a massive impact for generations to come.
Yes, they most definitely will. There was a expected massive Republican push in these midterms, but that really didn't happen. Of course, there were a lot of these races that were expected to go for the Republicans were close, but actually the Democrats won quite a few of those.
Yep.
And also the other major story for that was a lot of the candidates that were backed by Trump also lost in that election. Quite a few of them also won, but quite a few that a couple of the ones that probably should have won lost, but not by very much, but they still did lose.
Yeah. Another really extremely sad story from this year was the mass shootings. They continued. Charlie, we've talked about them a lot this year, especially the one that happened in Uvalde, which is just a complete tragedy, but something tells me that we're going to be talking about them in 2023 as well.
Yeah, I'd rather get that feeling as well.
Yep. It's a debacle, Charlie, in UK politics this year.
Yes, it's just rather been a disaster. With Johnson stepping down, Liz Truss lasting 44 days, I believe, and then Sunak now being the prime minister seems to have hopefully fixed this very rapid leadership shuffle that's been going on.
Yeah. Alex Jones, now he owes $1 billion. That's another really big story that happened this year. Charlie made a note that politics are just completely insane this year. Yes, and something tells me that will not stop in 2023 either, Charlie. Move on to sports.
Yes. As for championships this year, the Los Angeles Rams won the Super Bowl, the Houston Astros won the World Series, Golden State Warriors won the NBA championship, the Colorado Avalanche won the Stanley Cup, Georgia won the NCAA football championship, Kansas won the NCAA men's basketball championship, South Carolina's won the NCAA women's basketball championship, the Las Vegas Aces won the WNBA championship, Argentina won the World Cup, Max Verstappen won the Formula One World Championship, and Joey Chestnut won the hot dog eating contest this year.
It's also a sad year in sports with a lot of top players across many sports retiring. And the likes of Serena Williams, who's obviously like the greatest tennis player of all time, to Roger Federer, to Sue Bird, Albert Pujols, Yadier Molina, Rob Gronkowski, Ben Roethlisberger, Ashley Barty, Sean White, and someone who's not a player but a coach, Coach K from Duke, just all deciding to call it this year. And it's sad that they've had massive impacts on the sport.
So now let's get to some memorable moments, Colin.
Yeah, so one moment that sticks out to me, and Charlie, I cannot believe that this was this year because this feels like forever ago, but that was NFC divisional weekend with all four of those wild games, Bengals, Titans, 49ers, Packers, Rams, Buccaneers, and Chiefs, Bills.
Yeah, especially that Chiefs-Bills game. Both of those AFC matchups were very, very close, and really came down to the wire. The Bills-Chiefs game with those crazy last 2 minutes, and then that great overtime for Chiefs fans anyway. Then that Evan McPherson.
Charlie's still crying about that one.
I am still not happy about that. We should have won the coin toss. And then the kick from Evan McPherson to send the Bengals to the AFC Championship game, and then eventually to the Super Bowl where they would lose to the Rams. Yeah, just a crazy weekend. Probably the best weekend of football we've had in a while.
I have to say, Charlie, this may be the greatest year of sports that I've ever seen.
It might be, and not just for local reasons. Not just for some local reasons. We'll get into in a minute here.
Yeah. The Olympics, the Winter Olympics for this year. Some top performers included Nathan Chen, figure skating, sensational performance. Chloe Kim in snowboarding, Lindsay Jacob Ellis also in snowboarding, snowcross, and Elena Myers-Taylor in bobsledding. Some of the top performers from the United States. Some bunch of baseball records broken, Charlie, this year.
Yeah, Aaron Judge set the home run record this year. What an amazing season from him. Shame the Yankee season ended how it did.
But no, it's not. It's not a shame.
I mean, they lost to the Astros.
I'm delighted by it.
I would rather have the Yankees win than the Astros, but I mean, it's a pick your poison situation.
True.
Miguel Cabrera got his 2000th hit, and Albert Pujols got his 700th home run. And we had some very memorable rookie seasons from Julio Rodriguez and Aldi Rushman. And also, yes?
Yeah, no, my favorite moment from the year is Cal Raleigh's home run to send the Mariners to the playoffs. And I'm biased.
Yes, and also biased to the fact that we were at that game.
But just sensational game. Sensational season for Cal Raleigh in Seattle. Dick Vitale, commentator at ESPN, another memorable moment this year, gave a speech at the ESPY Awards after accepting the Jimmy V Award for Perseverance, following his recovery from cancer. There's also a chess scandal, Charlie.
Yeah, I don't know. Can we get an explanation on that, please?
Okay, so I don't even know is the thing. I don't understand, but there's something about anal beads, which I cannot believe that I'm saying on this podcast.
Well, another memorable moment from this year was the MLB lockout earlier this year, with really in doubt that the baseball season was even going to happen. It's kind of actually a rather large miracle that it did happen.
Exactly. Another big story from this year was Live Golf, launching that Saudi-funded golf league that we have not talked about in a while because it's only very mildly relevant, but a lot of the top players, including Dustin Johnson, Bryson DeChambeau, Brooks Koepka, Phil Mickelson, if he's considered a major player anymore, have left for that league.
Yeah, we also had an episode title, I think, that was talking about that.
Yes, we did. Brittany Griner was detained for most of 2022 in Russia for purely political reasons. She is now finally, though, been released, thank goodness, and she is back in the U.S. She has now said that she will be playing, Charlie, in the 2023 WNBA season. Somewhat of a miracle.
Yes, it definitely is. It's good that she is back and is now playing again for the WNBA.
In some tragic news, 3 University of Virginia football players were shot this year in another mass shooting on the school campus, but it caused Virginia to suspend the rest of their season. And then, Charlie, we talked about the finals, but overall, wow, what an amazing World Cup this year.
Yeah, it was a very great World Cup this year.
Yeah, and I don't think that it should be overshadowed the fact that the Qatar aspect of it and the human rights aspect of it, but ultimately the game, the quality of play was insane.
Yes, it definitely was.
Um,
Now let's move on to some pop culture. I'll give this over to Colin.
Please don't.
All right, fine, I'll take it. We had the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard scandal and trial and all that stuff that we really refused to talk about on our podcast because
I think we mentioned it for like a couple minutes.
We had Will Smith's slap that was relevant for about 2 weeks, and then it didn't really. No one really cared about it anymore.
Yep.
Harvey Weinstein and R. Kelly are headed to jail for sexual assault. Kanye West got canceled a lot, and the Adam Levine thing happened. So I'm going to hand it over to Colin for the in memoriam segment.
So we lost a lot of people this year. Queen Elizabeth, to Vin Scully, to Bill Russell, Bob Saget, Betty White, Mikhail Gorbachev, Madeleine Albright, Anne Hicks, Leslie Jordan, Olivia Newton-John, Ray Liotta, Aaron Carter, Grant Wall, Mike Leach, Taylor Hawkins, Stephen Boss, who we just lost in the last week, as well as Mike Leach, as well as everybody else that we lost this year that has graced planet Earth with their presence for just a few moments and ultimately a very long world history. Charlie, what are your closing thoughts on 2022 and honestly looking forward into 2023, what we can take away from this year?
I think this was definitely will be looked back on as a very relevant year in history. It was really the beginning of the end, hopefully the beginning of the end of the COVID pandemic. A lot of huge events happened in both politics and as well as sports and world events as well. I'm very hopeful for next year. Hopefully the things that were good hope to continue to improve, and the things that didn't go so well continue to decline. I'm really looking forward to next year continuing this podcast. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, so I agree with everything that you said. I'd like to add, though, I feel like we say this, what I'm about to say, every single year, and then it never ends up happening. But like a new year should be new beginnings, and you hope every year that finally humans can, in some ways, like come together, and instead of continuing to spread lies about the worst of each other, to believe the best in each other, to disagree in whatever we're doing, and still find a way to be respectful, to not shoot each other or spread lies that cause other people to shoot each other, to hate each other, because it's ridiculous. And I feel like that can't continue and that we should start fresh in 2023. And of course, that's not going to happen because that's not the way that the world works. But
yeah, it is truly unfortunate.
I would love it if that was able to happen. But thank you so much to everybody who listened to this podcast in the last year. We truly could not be more grateful. We will be taking this next week off. We'll be back first week of 2023, Wednesday, January 4th, at 8 p.m. Pacific time. We cannot wait to see you next year. Excited to see what the new year brings. As always, find us on Twitter at C&C Talks Podcast. You can check out our other episodes at our website, cctalks.net, as well as on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and wherever else you get your podcasts. And of course, you can call us with your questions at 360-389-2630. We would really love to hear more from you in 2023. And finally, thank you so much to our entire crew who worked so hard putting this show together, as well as all of the guests that we had on this year. So for our guests this year, Sylvie, Levi, Owen, and Scott, and our outstanding production crew of Morris, Zack, and Drake, thanks for listening this year. I'm Colin.
And I'm Charlie. See you next year.
Happy holidays. We will see you in 2023.